Hi guys, this is Galahad from Eternal Minis, and today I'm going to review the first index book from Games Workshop and the 8th edition of Warhammer 40k, and this one is Imperium I. It's all about Space Marine really, so if you're playing something different from the Imperium like the Adeptus Mechanicus, it's not the book for you. So, before starting, I might have to explain what an index book is really. An index book is just where all the datasheets for a specific army or group of armies is. So, for example, if you're going to play a Space Marine army, besides the rulebook that you might want, you really need this book. It's just like the old codex from the previous edition of Warhammer 40k, except that this index book are sometimes regrouping several armies. So for now there are 5 index books. The first one is Imperium I, this one. There is a second one about the Imperium II, it's just called Imperium II and it's everything besides Space Marines. And then there is a Chaos index book that I'm going to review in the next video. And 2 other books for all the Xenos of the galaxies, Xenos 1 and Xenos 2. So these books are really about datasheets. There are literally 3 pages of background and that's it. So really if you're just discovering the game, you might want to learn more about the army contained in the index book. So for that you might want to have the core rulebook or just check out on the internet. But I guess everybody knows what a Space Marine is. One of the cool things with the index books is that it's a brand new edition of Warhammer 40k and everybody is going to have an updated army list. Because with the previous editions, when the rulebook was released, generally Space Marine players have a codex with updated rules, let's say next month, but if you were playing an army like Tyranids or Necrons or some kind of exotic army, you might have to wait months, sometimes years before having an updated army list. It was causing sometimes unbalanced games. So this time it's a brand new edition, so everybody has updated units and datasheets, and that's something really cool with this new edition. So, first of all, if you don't know what a datasheet is, maybe you haven't seen my last video. But a datasheet is just a place where you can see all the characteristics of a specific unit. And when I say characteristic, it also includes things like weapons and power of the weapons and that kind of thing. It means that when you're playing the game, you just have to check out a unit datasheet. You don't have to search through rulebooks where the specific rules applying to your unit is. And it means that the game is really faster than before. Every Space Marine unit released through the history of Warhammer 40k has its own datasheet in the book. It means that you can play with an old unit like motorized Space Marine, but you can also play with a brand new army full of primary Space Marine if you want to. That's really up to you, and that's a nice touch for this new edition. So basically, you'll have datasheets for every Space Marine unit you can expect. So from HQ units like your Space Marine Captain or your Tech Marine, for example, from Terminators to Tactical Squad, every unit is in the book. It also includes all the basic primary Space Marines we know about. So if you want to play with your Intercessor Squad or your primary Captain, for example, from the Dark Imperium box set, you can play with them. Their characteristics are in the book. However, if you want to play with the new primary Space Marine like the Reavers that has been announced and just released, you'll have to wait until the Space Marine Codex, just announced this week by Games Workshop, is released. There, I guess you'll find characteristics for these new primary units, among other things. Most of the book is about regular Space Marine, but there is also a large part of it which is about specific chapters. And every big chapter in the game, or every chapter that has some special units, has a dedicated section in the book. So of course we're going to talk about the Ultramarines and the characteristic for all the Ultramarines units you know about, like of course the Primarch, Reboot, Gulliman, but you have also the characteristic to play Manus Calgara or the Tyranid War veterans. But it's really not just about the Ultramarines. Every big chapter or specific chapter of the game has its own section. So, for example, my favorite Space Marine chapter, the Black Templars, have of course its own section with some background presentation, but also the characteristic of all the Black Templars units from the game, like the Emperor Champion. What amazed me while discovering the book is that there are a very large part of it about Blood Angels, Dark Angels, and Space Wolves. That's something really nice because there are, of course, core chapters. So even very old units from these chapters have their characteristic and you can play them in the AC edition. Of course, there is a section for the Death Watch, and all the cool units that have been released, especially last year, is the Death Watch Codex, is in the book. And what I really like as a Death Watch player is all the cool stuff that you can play with. So, for example, for your Death Watch units, you can choose the kind of ammunition you're going to use when you're shooting with special weapons of the Death Watch, and that's something really nice. So really every Space Marine chapter, every Space Marine unit you can imagine is in the book and you can play with it. Something really nice. Thank you Games Workshop for that. The last section of the book is about equipment and points. Since datasheets don't contain the amount of points you have to pay to play a unit in your army and put it on your army list, all the points are at the end of the book. So it's about a kind of reference, and it's really easier when you're building your army to just check out in this section to see the cost of each unit. But I have to admit, it's a bit strange that they didn't include the points on the datasheets just like they did for power levels, because it's really an interesting information to have when you're playing with an army list. And there are all the characteristics of the different weapons available to Space Marine Army. Some of them are just available to some units, and some of them are just like plasma gun that basically almost every squad in the Space Marine Army can play. As I said, on datasheets, you have the characteristic of the weapons most units are going to have. But for example, if you want to give a plasma gun to your captain, of course it's not on its datasheet, because it will mean that you have to repeat the rules for basically every weapon available to a Space Marine. So you'll have to check out this section. You'll probably have to check out this section during the game. One thing I kind of regret from the previous edition of 40k is that you can't pick your Space Marine captain equipment anymore. So for example, in previous edition you could spend hours selecting all the items for your character, and you have to calculate all the points for all this equipment, and then during the game you have to check out all the special rules applying to your character. So it had a kind of nice aspect to the game because you really had a kind of unique character, but in the end it was a lot of complicated rules that sometimes you will forget. So with the 8th edition, all you have to do is just pick your captain or your character and weapons. So it really simplified the whole process, and it really focuses on what's important: weapons. Basically, these new index books are just replacing your old codex. So now we understand that index books are just about datasheets and characteristics and really focus on how you play your army. It doesn't care about strategy, tactics, or background of specific rules. You just buy the book, buy a bunch of figurines, and you can play the game. So with these index books, I think that Games Workshop has finally understood that when you're starting to play 40k, you already have to buy units, you already have to pay pens, and you don't want to spend all your money on books to play the game. So it's really a nice way and a simple way to start playing quickly with a book around £15. So definitely if you want to play 40k, you have to buy one of these books and just play the game. I hope you liked my review, and next time we're going to talk about the Chaos Index book and see what these bad boys can do in this new edition of 40k.